issue anyway, the human cloning. But really what this is an attempt to undermine the teaching of real science in the Louisiana public schools in the name of academic freedom, because they say the teachers are now confused about what they can do and what they can't do, and some teachers would like to teach alternatives and they're not able to do so. To which my response is that academic freedom is a wonderful thing, but it does not include the right to tell lies. It does not include the right of a math teacher to say that 2 + 2 = 5. And academic freedom similarly does not include the right to teach as science things that are clearly not science.
And if I understand this bill correctly, this is not mandating the teaching of creationism or intelligent design, but they want the science teachers to say there are other explanations for the creation of the universe and humans than what is taught in evolutionary biology, and so they want to raise a question about the validity of scientific evolution. Is that the way they word it?
That's exactly correct. And for teachers, I think not just to raise the question, but also to teach whatever information is available, which of course is not really scientific information, on what they consider to be the defects in the theory of evolution, and also global warming. They have thrown global warming in there.
They also question the validity of the theory of global warming, which is apparently pretty widely accepted by the scientists.
As far as I know.
Now, why would these people, and we know who Nevers represents, why do they have a problem with global warming?
Well, I don't know, and I'm not going to speak for them. They have their reasons, and I don't know what they are.
But it's a strange thing that they would question that.
I don't pretend to understand the motives behind what somebody else does, and so I'm not going to speak to why they've done it, but it clearly would undermine real science education in Louisiana with, I think, very detrimental effects. I think it will be harmful to this state in business development, because I don't think that responsible businesses will want to locate in a state where science is not taught in an accurate and adequate manner. So I think that it has some serious economic implications, in addition to our concerns about some religious implications as well.
Well, we have a problem with education generally in Louisiana, and my recollection and my understanding is that many of the high school public high school teachers who teach science don't understand the theory of evolution or don't support the theory of evolution. Do you have any information that would support that position?
I don't know what goes on in the science classrooms, and I certainly don't want to denigrate the very hard-working science teachers of the state of Louisiana. Of
whom there are many.
And I'm sure there are some who maybe don't agree with the established curriculum, but I don't certainly want to cast aspersions on a whole entire profession of people who are hardworking and and excellent teachers. But I do think we need to be very careful that we don't circumscribe the way the teachers can teach real science by having them teach junk science that isn't really science at all.
I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. No,
and I know that you weren't trying to insult science teachers either.
But did you say that same bill is the one that also has something in there regarding cloning? Is that in that same bill?
Yes, the same bill. Yes, no, that's the same bill that singles out 3 issues: evolution, global warming, and human cloning.
And what does this bill say about human cloning?
Nothing other than to single out those 3 areas of study as ones on which there is scientific controversy, and therefore alternatives should be taught. Now, I know there's another cloning bill, but the Academic Freedom Act doesn't really say anything about cloning other than to mention it as something that should be taught as a controversy.
All right. Now, when you say there is another one, because I just saw in the paper that there is one, which is a cloning fund ban bill. They don't want any state monies to go into something about cloning. Are you familiar with that particular?
Well, yes. As I understand it, they don't want money to go into any scientific research that would involve human cloning, even if the purpose of that research is not to create another human being, which of course I don't think is either possible or any desirable by anybody's standards. But it would include scientific research that could lead to cures for all sorts of presently uncurable diseases. And that is where I think the controversy lies, because there are a lot of diseases now, painful, debilitating diseases that legitimate scientists believe could be cured or ameliorated by additional research that might involve the use of human stem cells.
All right. So when they're talking about cloning, they may be talking about a specific minor part of a human system that they could cure or correct because it has some defect through the use of cloning.
Well, cloning of stem cells, of particular cells, that was not the same thing as creating another human being that would be a carbon copy. But yes.
And on a broader national level, one of the concerns that the religious extremists have about cloning is that the stem cells might come from aborted babies, and of course they think there should be no abortion.
Correct.
So now, from your years of experience on civil rights issues and other legislation, let's go back to the Nevers bill. What would you anticipate the likelihood of passage?
I don't want to speculate.
Okay.
I can only say that I hope it won't.
All right. May I also ask, will you have a lobbyist there supporting your position in opposition?
We are working very hard to galvanize opposition to that bill, and one of the things that we would encourage is for people to contact their own legislators on this issue to express their opinions on this.
We also have asked our members to write letters to whomever their senators might be to express their opposition to Nevers bill. All right. Well, tell me, what other matters, either Louisiana or even national, are you all looking at, participating in, expecting, whatever?
Well, we've got, we're very busy. We have always more work than we can handle. In the local office, we're doing a lot of work on racial profiling, which is a real problem in Louisiana.
It has been for quite some time.
For a long time. Yeah. We have a staff member who is devoted exclusively to dealing with racial profiling issues in Louisiana, and we hope to be able to, put a dent in some of those really horrible practices of police profiling and that sort of thing. And
through ordinance or legislation, or what are you trying to get accomplished?
Well, anything that will be effective. There is a very good bill that was proposed in the legislature that would require police departments to keep racial data on arrests, traffic arrests.
That was proposed in some prior legislation?
No, it's pending now. It's pending now.
Right.
And the reason that's important is because although some people might say, well, you shouldn't be keeping track of race, and in a perfect world we wouldn't have to, but since we don't live in a perfect world, it's important to have that information so that you can see patterns of whether local police departments are disproportionately stopping and arresting and charging certain groups of people. Without that information, you can't see what the patterns are to know whether something needs to be fixed. And so this bill would create the data that could then be examined so that hopefully in the future we could say, well, there is no problem, and therefore maybe we don't need to keep it anymore. But for now, what we're finding is that at least in certain communities, there are problems with African Americans being disproportionately charged and prosecuted for offenses that white people don't have penalties for. So we think this could go a long way towards improving the state of the racial climate in Louisiana, and we're hoping that bill gets passed. We're, of course, always looking at free speech and free religion cases. We have a couple of cases now on some issues that not just the Tangipahoa Parish